To order. Oh, let me click on continue here. Okay, first up, could we get an approval of the December 17th meeting minutes, please?
So moved.
Melanie, there was actually,
Second.
sorry,
Okay.
ahead. There was a late change. We never approved the November 19th meeting minutes either. So
Yeah, good call.
we have both, if you would be so kind.
I would like to make an amendment to my motion to include what Doug just said.
Okay, so we'll do the November 19th and the December 17th at the same time. And you're okay with that, and I'm seconding that. And Rayanne's on here, I see. So I'll let her unmute and then she can do the second.
Seconding what?
We're approving the minutes from the November 19th and December 17th meetings.
I don't think I was at either one of them.
Okay, all right, well, I'll second. In that case, I'll still second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All righty, on to some old business. So how are we making out with our Giza contract and what's our update? Where are we work? How are we doing?
We're doing well. I'm going to share my screen and just run through a couple different slides here, if everyone would indulge me. So if you remember, this is the slide that was presented to the board as an overview of the entire project. All right, everybody remembers the $8.5 million number. So what happened since then is that the project has been divided up into really two phases. We call it 1A and 1B. 1A was, for example, the chiller, because we knew that was a high priority, plus the ECMs that had the greatest savings, and we wanted to realize those savings sooner rather than later, so they got prioritized to 1A. So it's part of this ECM here, plus this grouping here. So we are working towards, or working on this schedule. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. The goal of which is to present to the board on February 11th the full phase 1A investment grade audit and a master agreement, which would authorize that work to go to construction.
Okay.
The grant, just as an order of magnitude, the grand total of the cost of 1A looks like it's coming in about 2.5 million.
Okay.
1B will be the balance of about 6 million or so.
And
Okay.
everything is still on par with what we expected for prices and stuff like that?
Yeah, it is, Mike, in the aggregate. There is some horse trading going on and some give and take. Like, for example, the lighting is actually coming in a little lower, but we're sliding some of the chiller cost from 1B to 1A. So in the aggregate overall, we're still in line. It's
Okay.
just there's some go up, some go down, because remember the investment grade audit is the real deep dive into the nuts and bolts of each of these ECMs. So that's when their proposal gets refined. One of the items I wanted to bring up with the group here, actually two. The first one was water conservation. That's this, call it a job aid update, if you will. So when Noresco dug into the water conservation, and by water conservation, it's essentially replacing restroom fixtures with low flow fixtures. So we save on our water bill and the back end sewer bill. When they really started to dig into it, they realized that some of our fixtures are already low flow. So for example, there's a note right here that says, the showers at the high school are already low flow, and there's no shower heads to retrofit as part of this project.
That's good.
So long story short, this chart up here, yeah, no, that is good. It's specific to the high school, the admin or ed center, and the 4-5 center. They didn't, they briefly looked at Hereford and Marlboro, but because Marlboro is private water, private sewer, and Hereford is private sewer, the savings just didn't justify any restroom fixture retrofits in those schools.
Okay.
So if you look at this first line here, for example, I'm right here on this line here. They proposed during the proposal phase 92,500. Now that they've dug into it in the IGA, if at the high school we were going to go with manual flushing, it would this ECM's cost would be 95,640. If we went with automatic flushometers, it would be 134,395. If you notice, the savings on an annual basis are, minimal. The payback period for manual flushing is 30 years and automatic flushing is 42 years. Now, typically we would just shy away from this.
Yep, you're breaking
Say
up.
this
Doug.
doesn't make.
Okay.
So we would shy away from this normally and say this doesn't make sense from a payback perspective. But in this case, in the high school, there may be some maintenance advantages, standardization advantage that we may want to consider doing the work anyway. At the 4th and 5th grade center, for example, they did not even consider that during the proposal phase. We asked them to consider it during the IGA, and they've come back with $60,000 or $84,000. Again, payback is long distant. Not really a savings ECM. This would be a maintenance / standardization ECM. So these are the counts of the fixtures by building that would be retrofitted / replaced. This first half over here is what they anticipated during the proposal, and now they've gotten into it during the IGA, and the counts have changed. Essentially, they've found more restrooms that they didn't know about. You can see here this area here, they didn't consider 4-5 during their proposal. They have come back and estimate, or not estimated, but proposed during the IGA 41 toilets, 15 urinals, etc. That the recommendation coming out of Provident and ICS is to move this ECM from 1A to 1B. They don't want to discount it completely because there may be maintenance advantages. But to jump on right away as a phase 1A, just based on the savings up here, just doesn't make financial sense.
Right.
It still may, like at the high school, if you ask me for a recommendation today, I'm close to recommending we still move forward with the high school because we have a number of maintenance issues there / occasional vandalism. And it would be nice to get everything new and upgraded, standardized across the entire school, and just take advantage of this opportunity. Now at the 4th and 5th grade center, in talking to my staff, we don't have the maintenance issues there per se. The only reason I might recommend doing something there would be to make the fixtures are age appropriate. So we went from 6, 7, and 8 there to 4, 5. Some of the smaller kids are standing on their tippy toes to wash their hands. And there's they're the height of the urinals in some spots is an issue. So just potential opportunity there as well. I did talk to Mr. Vigilante He hasn't heard a whole lot of feedback about it. He has observed some of our students struggling at times, but it's not widespread of an issue. So, the recommendation is to essentially take this out of 1A and move it to 1B so we can study it a little bit more and come back with a recommendation on, whether we still incur this 95,000, for example, at the high school. Do we do any work at the Ed Center, and do we do any work at 4-5?
I like that you're, oh, sorry, not to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say not as a savings initiative or ECM, but more of a maintenance and standardization type ECM. So
Okay.
I really like the fact that you're looking at, it sounds silly, but looking at sink and urinal heights. I just, and toilet heights, like that's kind of important. I mean, I think it's more with urinals and sink heights, but like there's a funny story, like when Quinn first started going to Hereford, they went into like an adult bathroom. So the principal Freeze walks in and Quinn has got his buddy held up so he could wash his hands, like, because his friend was short. So like, funny story, but like, it kind of like, yeah, if some sinks need to be lower, some urinals need to be lower. I mean, it's not like a huge deal, but like, if you're that short kid, yeah, it's a big deal. So
Story
I
of
love
my
that you're looking
life.
into it. I mean, that's- nobody wants to be that guy. Like, I can't go.
Story of
So-
my life.
So that would be my recommendation, is to keep seeing this and move it out of 1A to 1B and revisit it once we've had some additional time to work with Noresco and kind of refine these numbers and ensure that they've considered not only replacing or potentially keeping the fixtures, just lowering them. So there's some additional work here. The other item that I don't have a slide for necessarily is lighting. A couple things have come up recently. The one being occupancy sensors in classrooms. So we at Noresco initially proposed occupancy sensors in classrooms. We looked at it hard with Provident and ICS, and same situation. The payback, it was an expense, 6-figure expense, and the payback is 30 plus years. And when we really started to think about it and how frequently the classrooms are occupied, and the fact that they're now going to be occupied with, very efficient LED lighting and not compact fluorescent bulbs, the recommendation is to take that out. Not, any of the classrooms that have occupancy sensors now will remain, but we couldn't justify occupancy sensors, retrofitting classrooms with occupancy sensors based on their use and how efficient the new LED bulbs are going to be, et cetera. So that, that's a savings of $100,000 plus. So there's a lot of that analysis happening in this phase 1A. The other thing where I asked for was if Noresco would be willing to install some sample classrooms, if you will, or sample spaces. I didn't want to retrofit all of the lighting in the entire district only to find out that people aren't happy with the lighting, the color is off, whatever it is. Maybe we should do some mock-ups and, take like the kindergarten wing at Hereford and the new wing at Hereford and just do 2 classrooms and make sure everyone's happy with, the lighting levels and the color and all of that. Same thing in the high school, do a 400 wing classroom, maybe a 100 wing classroom, same analysis. Are we okay? Yes, go forward. So if there's a little bit of an expense to that because, the contractor would have to mobilize and demobilize, but to me, I think that's money well spent. So we don't get into a situation where we've retrofitted the entire district and we're not happy.
We did that look. We switched all of our shop lights to LED lights. And a lot of what we do is identifying the color, which is a perceived color to begin with. And I had one up
Right.
there. She's like, I have to have my fluorescent back. I can't even inspect anything. I can't see it. So
Right. It's kind of funny. They say typically you want to do this work over the summer. So, so, it's not Monday your fluorescence and Tuesday your LED, because people notice immediately, and whether it could be a great upgrade, it's just different, and people may object. So we'll work on that aspect, but I'm excited about the lighting because it's going to standardize the lighting across the district, and give us the most efficient LED, 50,000 hours of runtime, no ballasts. It's just going to be, from a operations and maintenance standpoint, it's going to be a significant upgrade for my staff and their time, getting time back.
I'll say.
Yeah, so we're moving along. Like I said, the target is the February board meeting to bring forth the results of the 1A investment grade audit and the master agreement. We've asked Noresco to provide that here on the 5th, so we can include it in a board update in advance of the board meeting, so everybody has a chance to digest that.
Good. Sounds
That
good.
was kind of long-winded, but that's the update on Giza.
Any questions, Mike, Peg, Ray?
Nope.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Love the mock-up
Just
idea. I think that's
one
great.
last item. Yeah, one last item, Melanie. I was talking to Sandy about this today. The decision we made to hire Provident and ICS to be our agents during this process has been fabulous. That just validated our decision. They've really gone to bat for the district, and Noresco is not used to this type of an arrangement, so they stumbled a little bit out of the block, but everything's been worked out and smoothed over, and they're earning their keep, let's say.
that's great. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad. Because that
Yeah,
helps
really.
take some of it off of you until it's the end part of it, which is good.
Yes.
Because we know
Yep,
how busy you are these days.
agreed.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I guess we'll move on to the high school varsity softball field with its drainage improvement options.
Yes. So I had an opportunity to meet with Jim Mazika, Barry Isaac, to look at these fields. And he was kind enough to develop this sketch for me at no cost and provide that email with some order of magnitude costs for us to consider. So this is Walt Road. Up here is JV baseball. This is varsity softball. The parking lot, the basketball courts, etc. So he gave us basically 3 options. Option 1 was this dark blue line being a drainage pipe that's buried in the ground. It's a substantial pipe, and it's designed to catch all the water that would be running from the JV baseball field essentially to the varsity softball field and intercept that and get it drained off before it impacts the softball field. If you look at the topology of that area, essentially everything flows from Montgomery Avenue down to the reservoir gently, but it does flow in that direction. Another option would be if we wanted to, we could extend sort of these feeder drains into the outfield of the JV baseball field. And a third option is to install drainage on the field, on the varsity softball field itself.
Excuse me, is this the field that's
bear with
between
me
the middle
one
school and the high school?
Yes, Ryan. Mhm.
Yes.
I just wanted to know what I was looking at. I'm not a map
Right.
person.
Can you guys see this?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's small, but it's not too bad.
All right,
If
so,
you orient yourself, it's not too bad.
okay.
If
So
you
these
get
are the options that he gave us. This thicker, that thicker blue line was about $25,000. The varsity, I'm sorry, the JV baseball was 92, 92.5. And then the varsity softball was about 80. Now that didn't include soft costs. His estimate was 8 to 20,000 based on what level of services we would ask his firm to provide. In talking to Mr. Kurzweg, he doesn't feel, and I tend to agree with him, that the outfield of the JV baseball field is much of an issue. We both felt that this darker blue drainage system would capture all that water before it got to the softball field. And we thought it would be prudent to install a drainage system on the softball field itself.
so
So
you're thinking about the,
I'm sorry, Mike.
sorry, I keep thinking you're pausing. I apologize.
No,
So
no,
you-
no. That's probably my fault. I should pause to let you guys get. Sorry.
You got to come up with the William Shatner pause. No, so you guys are kind of thinking the dark blue line there, and then the green lines as well. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And if so, that's options 1 and 3. If you take kind of the top end of Jim's estimates, 125,000 roughly, give or take. Obviously would be a summer project or fall. It couldn't be done in the spring because the field is being used. He did not give us any pricing on a walkway from the parking lot to the varsity softball field. That would be over and above the 125 to kind of 150 range. But he was comfortable that this would make a significant, improvement. And then we could, this is sort of the first step. We have to improve the drainage in this area, and then we could improve the site with the batting cage and bleachers and relocated scoreboard, et cetera.
Okay.
Just as a sort of an academic exercise, I asked Noresco if they could give me an order of magnitude cost to replace the lighting on this field.
Mhm.
There's 6 poles now, and I'm referring to the softball field, that is. And it came, Sandy and I pretty much fell off our chairs. They came back with 450,000.
Wow.
Now I don't, and Peg, maybe you've had some experience with this. I thought that was on the high end.
It sounds high. You guys should see Boyertown softball field now. They just finished their
Yeah,
stadium.
I actually tasked Mr. Kurzweg with talking to Methacton and Boyertown just to understand, how much they spent for their stadiums. Just so we can have all of the information. Because remember the last meeting, we talked about potentially relocating this field somewhere.
That was my question. Are we, certain that we're going to stay here, or are we going to investigate moving it?
Well, even if we didn't stay there, I would imagine, since we don't have tons and tons of area anymore, that area would have to be used for something, in which case it would still need the drainage. That's my thought.
Right. One option was to flip-flop varsity and JV softball and make all the improvements to the JV softball field, which is closer to Waltgraber Lane there. But
And does that include lights?
well, that's the thing, Peg. If we're talking about, let's just say the lighting is, just throw out a number, 300,000. And then you've got all the site civil work and the dugouts and the fencing, and I always underestimate, but this could be, a new field could be 700,000-800,000. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, easy.
Yeah, that's ugly.
800,000, you're into a full turf field for softball.
Yeah.
That kind of money.
Yeah, that's Mr. Kurzwig's. If he wins the Powerball, or I guess the Mega Millions now, he would love to have turf on his softball field, but
not yet.
right.
Not
So
yet.
if we stay here, my recommendation would be the dark blue and the green. It's yeah.
Would go a long way to making it better.
But it certainly needs work. The complex in general. Mr. Kurzwig is getting pricing for scoreboard relocation, bleachers, and batting cage, I believe. So I didn't have those for this meeting quite yet.
Okay. All right.
So we probably only have maybe one more meeting, to make a decision on go no go for this drainage in order to hit a summer project this summer.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have more information for us, in a month.
I wonder if better drainage will keep the geese away.
Do you think anything will happen? I don't.
They've been horrible this week. Terrible.
Those things are brutal.
They are.
Does anyone know, if I haven't obviously been here for a softball season, like, how bad does it get? Do you have to not play games and cancel it because of, if there was a rain 2 days ago, you can't get a game in? Is it that
It's
bad?
really soggy. It's really soggy. My daughter played on it in the early 2000s, and yeah, it's soggy.
It's a
Yeah.
swamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's what, a swamp, you said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just ask, and it's not a suggestion or recommendation. I know other districts that are struggling with in-house fields do look off-site. I mean, your park there, Camelot Park fields, those two are phenomenal. I mean, they are really top-notch fields. If that was a case of doing one of these things in season, which you obviously would try to avoid. I know Quakertown uses the vet park as their home field as well. Again, not a suggestion. I understand the importance of having it on campus specifically, and support that. But that's, if it gets to that point where we're working on it and you have to have, I prefer to do that than have a rain out. But I get it, and I don't know what the access point is on those other fields. But again, not ideal. But if we want to have a season, if it's that bad, if it's a matter of postponing a day or two to clean it up for a home match, or things get flipped, I guess it's a different way to look at it. So.
Well, the improvements would be coinciding with the OCR investigation, so we'd probably need to be careful with how we time everything and
Yeah, agreed.
how it works.
So, Mike, Ray, have anything? Any input?
Nope, I'm good.
I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, to get this where it should be.
Right.
And the idea of moving it is cool, right? But it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, just the lights alone will murder us. Yeah. I mean, maybe we do talk about using Camelot Park. There's also the one between 8th Street and the Ed Center. I don't know who's doing that, but that's where they play the alumni softball game.
Oh, that field? That's with
That field
the
is
gravel
awful.
parking lot there. That one?
I'm just asking.
In fact, they're moving the alumni game to Camelot.
Oh, really?
We would have played there last year, but with COVID, we canceled it.
Okay.
Those
That's
Camelot
good.
fields.
She has a neck injury. She can't play right now. Okay. Well, maybe it'd be worth a try. Just kind of feeling out Upper Hanover.
But Melanie, are you suggesting as going to Camelot for a temporary location until the campus field is fixed?
I don't know. I mean, they're brand new fields. It's the daytime.
Yeah,
But
that's more why I mentioned it, more temporary, or if again, I don't have a perspective on how bad the field is, or if it has to, if they have to keep canceling things.
Yeah.
That is a resource that's there. I know the importance and would want to get it on campus and keep it there for many reasons, not just,
Well, the OCR investigation isn't about, the investigation is about the location of the field to the other amenities that have to be accessed, like the training room, the locker rooms, those kinds of things. So moving the field off campus, I certainly wouldn't advise it.
right, agreed.
Yeah,
That'll just piss off the OCR even more. Then they'll never leave.
Maybe
Yeah.
the OCR wants to give us $400,000.
Not how it works, Melanie. The law's been in place for 50 years.
I know, I'm being facetious.
Doesn't work that way.
But yeah, for it to get to that point, you have to put it in the parking lot or someplace, if you were going to actually do anything, right? Get it closer to that area.
Mhm.
where
Well,
that
that's
issue-
why I keep asking if you've heard from the OCR lately. And,
I'm not aware of any.
what does the resolution agreement say? So, yeah.
We can ask Kyle. I'll have a call with him tomorrow. I'll find out.
Okay. I lost my agenda. There it is. Okay, so I guess we'll continue to talk about that one.
Yes.
We need to, we'll wait and see what Bobby comes back with, February, in our February meeting. And then see
Okay.
what we can do.
Can Bobby be here to go over some of that stuff with us?
That'd be nice.
Sure.
All right, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
All right, I'm writing myself a note here. Okay. All right, so I guess we'll move on to much more fun activities and talk about Marlboro's playground.
Yeah, so Marlboro's playground, the demolition has begun. The playground on I guess it's the east side of the school has been moved. And they're transitioning the next day or two to the main playground. The play set itself and swing sets are due in the first week of February. I just got that confirmation. So potentially, February 15th, if everything goes well, or February 20, certainly by March 1st, we have a new playground.
That's great.
And so far, so good. It's, no issues. We do have to take down a tree, unfortunately, but just to
Surprise.
accommodate the increased footprint of the new playground. So yeah, I just wanted to give the group an update on that.
Okay, that'll be great. I saw when I went past there the other day, there was a lot of trees down. That's good. Down and gone.
Yeah, they're starting. The weather and is not cooperating, and we're trying to, we don't want to tear up the lawn either, so we're trying to kind of thread the needle.
Yep.
So
Oh, it's looking good. It's looking good. Anybody have any questions, comments? I'm just excited to have that new one in there.
That'll be cool, especially
Yeah.
just having it in for the end of the year.
Exactly. Yep. All right, I guess we'll move on to Walt Graber Lane. Unless you have
I'm
something.
sorry, Mel. One quick question. So Alan, just for our planning purposes, we may want to do the groundbreaking like the week of February 1st.
That's fine. Just we'll get a date and let everyone know what it is. We're thinking about doing a little groundbreaking for the beginning of putting things at Marlboro. Again, we could use some positive vibes, and it is an investment into our kids, and we can support that with some positivity. That was the conversation. So we have lots of shovels and different things, and we figured we would obviously invite the board and some of the community, and and have some kids there that won't be ready to go, but it at least will be a part of that process.
I still have my hard hat from the middle school.
There you go.
I'm
Yeah, I have
ready.
I have all the shovels, so
There you go.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a good idea. Okay, so I guess now we'll move over to Walt Graber Lane.
Yeah, Alan, I don't know if you want to
Sure, I'll take it. Yep, happy to take it. Yep. So you guys know we had residents from there come visit the meeting a while back, and then we went into COVID for a while, and we followed up. Doug and I went on a field trip on a gator over the area there, and met with at least one of the residents, and just talked a little bit about what had been there before. Again, with a transition from myself and Doug, we weren't really fully aware of what the issues were, as well as what the agreements have been in the past. So we met with the one resident there, and he gave us a little bit of history of how the road came to be and how it's being used. The challenge there is we're not able to fit the gators in between the fence and the fence, going back through past the second field back there. So we do need access to that road for some things, and want to have access to some of that. And speaking with Mr. Summers, we also discussed it a little bit. It's a weird thing, as Doug's pulled it up on his Google map area. It's kind of a dead zone there. It's not really, it's kind of a private road. It's not dedicated to the township. But yet push comes to shove, we probably have some accountability on a good portion of that road, as being two neighbors butted up next to it like there. As Kyle would say, if this came before a hearing officer or something else, they would probably say, come on, school district, you need to be a better neighbor here, so to speak, in that type of, owning and maintaining, even though we don't use a good portion of it, but the portion we do use. So in the past, we got a little bit of history of what had been a kind of, handshake agreement in the past in terms of helping to clean up and maintain some of the road, and then assist with some of the stone. I guess the people on the street chip in and pay for stone each year. And that gets, in the past, we had helped spread that out and participate with that. And then when I came on board, probably the first month is when I got a bill saying, you need to pay this. That was the whole thing. I was like, I don't understand. I don't know where this is coming from. So now, a year and a half later, we have a better handle on it, and we want to go back to the at least the contact that we've been working with. And I know it was two members of the street that came here. So what I think we were kind of settling in on, that seems like the rock bill, quote unquote, is about $580, close, a little less than $600, I believe, that they say they use each year. Where the rock goes, we don't know. Probably into their grass, or it's just regular stone. But and in the past, Mr. Sheeran had one of the staff members here help to spread that rock, so they would drop it and then try to spread it out. So we had brought this to the board. They had showed up to the board, and then we said we'll keep working on it. So that's why we're bringing it back. I think what we had said we would propose back to them was kind of still maintaining to help spread the rock, but offer to pitch in at a third of that rate each year, roughly $200, just to kind of smooth that out, because we really only use a portion of it. Now we know, there's the rock gets spread along the whole road. We're not really having a whole lot of vehicles up and down there. But anyway, that's what we were bringing back, Doug and I, after we met with them and talked through it. That will be something that could be talked with them, with the residents, secured in an email and or an exchange, that this is kind of our neighborly agreement that we're going to move it forward that way. Because my question, which was not received well when I first came on, was, do you have anything from Mr. Sheeran or the previous superintendent that says what you did? Because if it was, we would honor it. That's how this works. I guess he thought I was being flippant when I wasn't. I just didn't have any idea where that was coming from. So I think, Doug, that's what we talked about, right? A third,
right?
We agreed on a third, and still maintain, because the amount of time it probably, if they had to rent the tractor and we have it on site and the manpower to do that, I guess it takes a portion of a day. Am I right, Doug?
It does. Well, yeah, the new stone. Yep.
Yeah. So we had gotten some direction from the committee last time about kind of trying to talk this through and coming up with a solution. So Sandy and Andrea and Doug know that this topic's been on my Monday morning meeting agenda for months, but we finally come bringing it to at least to you, if you think that's reasonable, to go back and have the conversation and unless you think we should do more or do less. But that's what we came up with based upon it, whatever the overall cost would have been with dropping the rock as well as spreading it all. That was part of what we were thinking.
I mean, I don't think that's a terrible thing. If we do use it, you're right, it's not a dedicated road. So, I mean, just to be a decent neighbor,
Yeah, there's some cleaning there. I think that Doug has kind of agreed to, or, where, however, the leaves coming down from the trees or the grass
Doug, are you okay with that?
I am. There's sort of the unwritten understanding that if we chip in, then
And we
they
won't get
need to
any
be
grief?
okay with us on the road. Not giving us any grief about, gators going up and down the road. So,
Okay. Mike,
yeah,
Ray?
I'm okay.
Makes sense to me, I mean, the whole good partner thing, and I mean, who knows what the original agreement was. I'm sure you guys are making sure there's emails, documentation, like covering, just to, hey, this is what we're doing,
Listen, they were
Right.
thrilled. I mean, the gentleman we met was thrilled that we took some time to come out and talk with and actually come and pay attention,
Yeah,
So that
goes
was,
a long
that was
way.
part of that conversation in terms of that. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I think, again, whatever we think to secure it and/or, like I said, if there was an email from Mr. Sheeran to the group there or saying this is what we're doing, I mean, obviously we can follow up with Kyle and just figure out if we need to put it in any hold harmless type of thing, or if we needed to, I think at some point, I think we were trying to not make it more formal, but maybe we need to, so we can just
Maybe.
bring it back to we're happy to ask the question. We write all
Yeah.
these questions down. We have Kyle on Saturday with us, so we can beat him up with all these free advice while he's already on the clock for us. So.
nice.
Good job. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think that'll do wonders for maybe for the kids playing and the balls going over there too.
Right.
We'd
Yeah.
like to get some of those balls back if we could.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. All right. I'm okay with that. So we move on to new business. Monco class notification system sunset. That's pretty cryptic, Doug. Got to tell you that.
So it's the panic system that we have in the schools and at the Ed Center.
Oh,
So we have
okay.
we have panic buttons that are located in typically, like at the high school, there's one in the security booth, and there's one in the main office. At the Ed Center, there's one on my side of the office, and then there's one on the business
On
side.
She's always there.
Yeah, so long story short is we were notified, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, maybe, that the county was considering shutting this system down and no
Oh.
longer supporting, no longer offering it to Montgomery County school districts. Well, that came to a head with a letter that Dr. Roach and I received that said that the sunset is happening. It's going away at the end of 2021, and you need to find an alternative. And then soon thereafter, the alternative was presented to us, and I can share my screen real quick here.
Is this in Montgomery County? Oh, okay. Yep. Gotcha. Transition. Never mind.
Yes, so it's I have to apologize. I'm a little salty about this. So if I seem
tell.
irritated, if I seem irritated, I apologize.
It's because you are.
It's
Okay.
Yes, because I am. So the county took it upon themselves to contract with a vendor and integrate that vendor's solution into their, what they call their CAD, computer aided dispatch. Then they basically came back to the school districts and say, hey, school districts, we're removing this from you, but you can now contract with ISS and it'll provide you with the same functionality. Well, the rub is it's no longer free.
Of course not.
It is $5,000.
I was going to say slightly less. I was going to say it's slightly less than lights on the softball field, but
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's right. It says less than 5,000, so it's probably $49.95 for the first button in each location. And then
Oh.
I'm hearing that the second button may be, $1,000 or $1,500. This could be $40,000 or $50,000 a year recurring for the district forever.
Wow.
And everyone on the facility side and the IT side, because it's come up on both IU calls, is pretty annoyed about this. got my back up a little bit and, on the call, and I said, well, is the county going to, subsidize our costs at all? And the answer was no. And the other thing that really irks me is there are other solutions. There's a solution whereby I think it's called Hero 911 and Guard 911. They're apps. So teachers could have this app on their phone. Local police departments could have the app on their phone. And as soon as that button is pushed, any officer on the beat that has their phone would immediately get notified. It would also call 911, et cetera, et cetera. The problem with all the other solutions is they're not integrated into their dispatch system. So there's an inherent delay. So it's similar to just someone picking up the phone and you call 911, you get a call taker who then has to pass the information to a dispatcher who dispatches police. This ISS system has already been integrated to skip the call taker and go right to the dispatcher. So any other solution we choose, there's an inherent delay. So I feel painted into a corner. We have a significant amount of hardware. Our phone system is Cisco, and they actually offer a solution that Jim Roth is helping me with, just to vet that. So, Dr. Roach and I will talk to this ISS group and others, but it's just not a good situation.
No, that's a big expense for something that you just decided to do arbitrarily.
Yeah, I even made I said, well, if it's a cost issue, I would rather, every school district pitch in $2,000 a year to the county, and then they can maintain the class system.
Right.
But they didn't even give us that opportunity. There's even been some discussion about getting our local legislators involved, like going to Senator Mensch or somebody and updating him on this situation and see if he could, lean on the county. Like I said, I apologize for being irritated about this, but I really feel like I'm painted into a corner here. So it's more informational. We're going to continue to vet all the options. There's 3 or 4, like Raptor has a solution. There's a software called Ruvna that does something similar. A lot of these systems, this is basic functionality, and then there's bolt-on modules like parent reunification and all these other functions and features that you can add once they and it's called Alertus, and this is in place in some school districts currently. Some of the larger school districts already have this Alertus system, in their schools and in place, but some of the smaller school districts that relied on this class system are
Scared.
staring at a significant expense to replace the functionality in kind.
Now, I have a question for you. Hereford has a different one from what I understand because they're in Berks County, or is it similar to the other 3 or 4?
No, Rand, it's the same. And that was intentional because if Hereford dials 911, it does go to Berks County. And for example, East Greenville Police won't know anything's happening there. So we wanted to have Hereford, my instructions to Hereford is, yes, still call 911, but also hit the panic button so the Montgomery County Police Departments will know that there's an issue taking place at Hereford.
Well, what I was getting at was if they respond, did Berks County also get rid of this system?
I don't know that Berks County has this system.
Okay.
And then keep in mind, Hereford is state police out of the Reading barracks.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if Berks County did it as well, but we were routed to Montgomery County because the rest of us because we're down this far. If we could just use Berks County for all of ours.
Right.
But
I can, I,
thought I was told that the class system from Montgomery County was put in Hereford. So if you
Yeah,
hit the class system in Hereford, you do come to you get alerted at Montgomery County.
yes.
So I don't,
That's
I'm
intentional.
sure that, right, exactly, for us, for the district. I would make the assumption that there's not one in Berks, and probably they wouldn't come and cover 4 other buildings for the one building that way, because I think we're more associated that way.
Yeah, not to mention how far away is Marlboro, how far away is that? It's far.
Yeah. So we have 11 months to figure this out. So it's definitely on the radar, but I just wanted to, I guess I'm going to have to budget for this money, but not happy
Not
about it.
today. Not
well,
today.
is this just I don't know, to simplify it a little bit, is this just a computer alert system that goes to the police departments, the different police departments,
Well, no, this goes directly to
a
the
911 dispatch?
911 center down in Eagleville, right in my backyard here, basically. So it goes right to a dispatcher's terminal that, hey, somebody pushed the button and they can immediately start dispatching police. So
I think, Doug, until we sit down to meet with this company, we have the price and we have what it is. I'm struggling with that price for simply a button.
Right.
What are the other pieces to the puzzle?
Right.
Because I think it's going to be, and if the
I'm wondering, can we create our own button?
Well, that's a great question, Ray. And one of the solutions that I've heard sort of on the down low from my contact at the county was some districts are looking at a panic button that's off of like their burglar system. Something that our alarm monitoring company could give us.
Yeah, I have that.
You're
'Cause I don't know
adding- Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I have one of them that you can push a button for whether you have a fire or you need police or medical or something like that. So it goes
Right.
to the right place with my
Right.
alarm system.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just wondering if it's that easy. I mean, like, I work at a computer place, so maybe it's just something that they can create on our system and it contacts our police. So I'm wondering if it's that easy rather than paying for the service. So
right.
I'm willing to poke around if you want. See if
Yeah,
it's-
no, I think that functionality definitely exists, but in that scenario, it adds another person. It adds even more delay because it's somebody pushes the button, it goes to our alarm monitoring company, who then calls 911.
No, but I'm thinking of creating a button that calls 911. It doesn't sound like it's something that should be that hard.
Well, I
Right.
think the thing is they were skipping the dispatcher for 911 and it was going directly to the police departments, the state police, whoever needed to know about it. So I think, you like I have an alarm system too. So if you call it or if you push the button or somebody breaks in, whatever, you still get a phone call first. I mean, something like that that's gonna really take forever. Like mine would never work. So that would, I don't know. Well, I guess, you're gonna have to explore them and see what else we can get. Because that's
Right.
ridiculous. And maybe some of us can talk to some of those in government that we know and ask them what the heck they're thinking.
Can you send me this slide? This
I can,
slide that
yeah,
goes with this?
sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Jeez, that's ridiculous. Okay.
So I'll keep this on the agenda ongoing and provide the committee an update as we work through the options.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, boy. And now the ever popular high school sinkhole. I didn't see that till just now. I didn't notice that. Oh, God. It's not in the girls softball field though, is it?
It is not. It is not. So about a week ago, one of my staff members, I get the phone call, hey, Doug, you need to come over here. So I love those calls. So I go over and if you can picture the electronic sign at the corner of 11th and Montgomery there, and go back maybe, I don't know, 40 yards or so in the direction of the school, a hole has opened up. And my staff member took a shovel out and, wanted to see how deep the hole was. And I guess he didn't have a good grip on the shovel, and it swallowed the shovel.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking that in my head as a joke.
Where was this?
The
No,
old
no, no.
farmhouse.
Where the old
Yeah,
farmhouse
it's the
was.
old farmhouse property. So it is probably, it has a diameter of maybe 3 feet. I immediately said, we got to get this covered. We put boards over it with blocks and cones, and I need to engage like a Jim Mazika to come out and help me work through what this thing is. I don't know if it's their old well or
Oil tank or something. Yeah.
oil tank, whatever. Yeah, right. It's filled with water or something.
Is that where the time capsule is?
Yeah, probably
Was.
was. It's
Right.
like in China.
Yeah. So we're going to have, it's, an environmental issue at this point and a safety issue. So I can envision us having to figure out what this is and potentially dig it out. But I just wanted to let everybody know that that's now jumped onto the radar.
Okay. Oh boy.
We lost the shovel.
I can't believe we lost the shovel. That's kind of funny, but it's
So does
not.
our insurance cover that shovel? We gonna get that back?
Probably
Well,
doesn't
it's-
meet the minimum deductible. That's what I would think.
You're right. This is a very expensive shovel, over $2,500. So
I'll say.
Ooh.
Must have been one of those groundbreaking shovels. Really. Yeah.
Andy, you know what's in that hole. What's chapter 17?
that's right. There you go.
No, I used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is the Hellmouth. There you go.
That's their underground railroad.
You got to tie a rope around yourself when you go near it, just in case.
Just in case, yeah. You never know. Oh my gosh. Only at Upper Park. All right. So anyone have any new business?
Did we miss the demand response, or did I just?
Yeah, I think there was
You know what?
I-
Maybe I printed this out the other day and didn't reprint it today.
Yeah, there was one other item that we had somewhat late, and that was our demand response agreement. So we have an agreement with a company that essentially pays us money in return for our willingness to shed electric load during peak periods on the grid. So, and 3 days of 95 degrees in a row, the electric grid's overloaded. We could potentially get a phone call that says, hey, Upper Perk, you need to get down to your, you need to shed electricity down to your contractual levels. And, in return for being on standby, essentially, they pay us. So the payments range from, I think, a low of 10,000 a year up to, I think they may have even been in the 30s in some years. It fluctuates.
Can we get it to match up to the panic button price?
Yeah.
That's right.
Good job, Mike.
So our agreement's up. It was a 3-year agreement. They've come back and asked to sign a 5-year agreement, which I'm not comfortable with. The other major change to this program is it's now year round. It used to just be sort of like a April or May to October program. Now it's year round. So it gives me a little, gives me pause, just because if something were to happen in the winter where they call me and say, you have to shed load, I'm not sure that the impact on the school may not be something that we're willing to accept.
Yeah.
So I just have to, they haven't had a winter event, I think, since, what was it saying, the polar vortex of 2014. So the chances that we get a phone call during the winter are very slim. But if we do, then, we're talking about turning lights off, turning the heat off, things like that. Which is, concerning, obviously.
Can we sign up for it? And then if we don't listen to them one time, like we just get kicked out of the program?
No, actually, what happens, Mike, is it impacts the payments. So
Okay.
they just wouldn't pay us as much. We could shed some load, but we're not going to turn the heat off. So, we can do the best we can. I reached out to Provident as our, energy consultant, and Sandy and I actually have a phone call with them tomorrow. They looked at the agreement. They gave us some feedback. Same things that we picked up on, shorter term. There's a revenue split, which I think is 70-30. Maybe we can negotiate on that. 180 days to terminate something, that's too long. So some school districts, there was an email thread going around in my circles about which school districts had these agreements. Some of them have backed away because of the winter requirement. Others are like, that'll never happen in the winter. I'm fine with being year round. So it's kind of all over the map. And then if we don't have an event, then we have to essentially practice, or they audit us once a year. So they'll say, hey, in July 7th, you at Hereford, you have to get down to your contractual levels. And
Okay.
the last 2 summers, we've performed well and have been able to get full payment. So it's all of my staff knows the drill. We know we have cheat sheets of exactly everything we turn off. But it's summer, so it's not.
Did they
have
ask
an
for
impact.
the levels? Did they ask for the levels to be any less, or, are
No,
they
they're-
the same thresholds?
They're higher, which is something I'm trying to figure out. They're actually asking us to commit to shed more load in the new term than they did in the previous term.
Yeah,
And I think, what did they give us till the end of January, right?
that's it.
Yeah, so that we have to renew by February 1st. So we're gonna put a placeholder on the workshop agenda. And then, vet it between now and then. And, if we can get our partner to lessen some of the more restrictive terms, then it's probably fine to move forward with.
Okay.
If not, then
Yeah, maybe you can talk them down to 3 years again instead of 5 or something. At least we wouldn't be locked in forever.
right. That's my thought is, and it, again, they just kind of slid that in there too. They didn't say, I just happened to look in the upper left-hand corner of the agreement. I said, wait a minute, this is 5 years. So,
Jeez. All right. Well,
but they are
do-
predicting that the payments are going up. So,
Okay.
which would help
All right.
us, but just another FYI that you may see on the workshop agenda.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys again for vetting those things out, because yeah, it's always something too. There's always something like that to deal with.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Now, if you feel comfortable with it, I'm okay with that, because you understand what they are and what we need to do, and that it won't, lose us any money or gain us any penalties or lose us any money. How's that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a situation where we would ever have to pay. It
Right.
would
Right.
just be our payments
Right.
would be reduced
Yeah.
if we fail to perform.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else on the list that I didn't see?
No.
Okay. Okay. I'll try to do it closer to the time late now. All right. Anyone else have anything else? Any comments, questions, new business, sinkholes? No. No more sinkholes. Sorry. All right. Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second? She's on there. Right, can I get a second for an adjournment?
Why don't you make a second? I'm hungry.
Okay. Okay, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, well, thank you, everyone, as usual. And we'll see you, some of you, Monday.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Take care.
everyone. Okay.
Hey, Doug,
Have a good night.
yeah,
You
Doug,
too.
don't hang up yet.
Okay.
Did you see,
Just stop your recording if you wanted to.
yeah. I
Yep,
thought he-
absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.